Well, I just want to touch on Bomb Squad production
Yeah.
because as I was going through the discography, I didn't realize how much stuff you guys did outside of Public Enemy.
Yeah.
And
A lot of that is Hank and Keith and Eric Sadler in the 80s, then morphing into different projects in the 90s. Influential projects more than like, well, we're gonna make hit records. They're more like influential. And after I guess after the influence, we all got used to pioneering things, and then the interest goes after you pioneer it when everybody says, well, that's the thing, and then everybody jumps in it and says, okay, this is a cash cow because the techniques are already there. So a lot of times I talk to people and I say, listen, man, you're in music, talk about the music, your ass won't get in trouble.
right.
Once you start talking about all that other
Oh, the other
bullshit,
shit,
man, I'm
yeah.
like, well, yeah, well, life is life, man. You going into areas that you might not know because you're at an age to not experience that, but I mean, that's what they got to do. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody got a different life. I talk about the music, and then they think I talk about everything. I do more listening than I do talking. I
Yeah.
mean, I rather listen and watch and sit my ass and watch shit. I like to go to a hip hop concert one day, see 6 or 8 groups, sit my ass in the seat, and enjoy it from beginning to end.
Yeah.
That's all I want to see.
I like the Central Park 5 shirt, by the way.
Huh?
I like the Central Park 5 shirt.
Yes, that's
I
that's what's
interviewed Corey and Raymond, I think. No,
right.
Yusuf and Raymond,
Yeah,
way before the movie ever came
of
out.
course. You was on top of it.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like I was, I don't know if the movie was made because of our interview, but we were the only big outlet to really focus on them in the last few years.
Yeah,
So,
you was good momentum for them,
yeah,
and then Ava picked up on them. And
yeah.
if somebody had to ask me, like the whole thing about Trump, my great brother, Be Real from Cypress Hill, my Prophets of Rage partner for years, he would say, man, we could eliminate even saying this dude's name. So he says 45, and that's why even State of the Union doesn't even mention his name, man. It's
Yeah.
like, dude, it's like I know as an OG, this dude I had a problem with from way back. So that's why I'm wearing my shirt. This is the beginning of my problems with 45.
Okay, so let's just touch on this real quick. So you're wearing the Central Park 5 or the Exonerated 5, like they like to be called
Exactly.
now.
The dude takes out a full page in the post and damn near wanted these young brothers murdered.
Well, yeah, he called for the death penalty
Yeah.
for these guys,
Right.
and we went into this whole story. They really had nothing to do with it, and ultimately, it was proven that they had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
They were all just good kids. None of them were criminals. None of them were thugs or however they were portrayed. They were just out having fun with their friends, and they got caught up.
And everybody didn't have a camera back there.
Nobody had a
And
camera
nobody had a
back
camera.
then.
And you know what? If that was you and you got caught out by the popo at that time and got pointed to and then was plastered all over the Daily News, the New York Post, how a rebuttal on page 13 ain't gonna fix it, yo.
Right. Well, and especially the woman who got beaten and raped.
The original Karen, right?
The original, well, I mean, you can't even
I'm
really
not
say
gonna
she's
say
a
that.
Karen because
I'm not gonna
she
say
did
that.
not cause any
Right,
problems or
right,
try to.
right,
She even said she doesn't remember anything.
right,
She didn't even point them out and say they did it.
right.
So you can't really put the blame on her in that regard.
Right, I'm
but
not, and
yeah,
and I erased that. That was inappropriate.
yeah,
But it comes out of the disgust of how this all played out, and it doesn't mean that you follow pursuit on the path of how whack it played out in New York with a like reaction. But going back, that was the beginning of a problem with this dude, and you never thought it was a problem. I mean, really, I mean, I had no problem with damn Trump. He's the guy that got his name on the planes. He's narcissistic. He's a spoiled, privileged brat. He's always on page 6 of the Post with Marlon Maples, and I mean, it's Donald Trump. He's got casinos. His father's a magnate. He's going to assume the throne of being an asshole. I'm like, he's a casino. Like I said, he owns the USFL Generals and he signed Herschel Walker. See, I know I've seen this guy before. The thing that blows the mind is how much of America, the United States of America, fell victim to this New York City huckster 3-card money playing on society, get over, slick kid, privileged brat. and called him president, that's when we got a problem, bro.
Yeah.
Even so the song State of the Union simply is saying, dude, you need to be next Nixonized. Like, go now. November, man. What we waiting for November for?
Well, he got impeached, right?
What's that
But
mean?
nothing happened. But he did get
Dude,
impeached.
he need to get Nixonized. And when somebody comes to me like, yo, man, who you going to replace with all this? Yo, man, I mean, Trump ain't got nothing to do with it. I just like, you know what? Let me have an OG argument from where I remember where
Oh, yeah.
I got my beef with him.
Yeah, he could be replaced.
You know what I'm
He
saying?
could absolutely be
We could at least
replaced.
deal with 4 months of a wild Pence and then figure out November. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But this dude, you know, and you know what? It's not this dude, because we know this dude. This dude is a 3-card Monte player, right?
Right.
It's the stupidity, or I should say the ignorance, or just the audacity in denial that people say, you know what, after 8 years of Obama, I'm gonna press the button on anything because it can't get worse. And I'm like, Sam, you will have people make a decision because they are right in their town. You've got towns in the United States of America that haven't changed much in 100 years. I mean, I'm not even talking about the dynamics of it, of a racial and all that.
Yeah.
I'm talking about you drive into town, it looks almost like it did 100 years ago. You go to the same, you know, families pass down stores and all right, you might have a Walmart and things like that, but the change in urban centers, and the reason they call it urban because you could put everybody in it, but black people really don't own it. So you call it urban, you can't call it a black community. It's an urban center, right?
Hmm.
They change all the time and not always for the better because it takes a lot of maintenance just to be able to understand that people live together, but they're all renting. Nobody owns anything. So how much pride you gonna have on a place where you're temporary?
Yeah,
You
no,
look
I feel
about
you.
to be
Yeah,
temporary.
I feel
And you got the rural areas, which maintain its existence for a long period of time, that kind of stay the same.
Yeah.
And it comes together on this big beauty ass pageant called voting for the president of the United States. So I tell young adults, I said, cool, that's the beauty pageant up there. It's an ugly beauty pageant full of 70-year-olds. Concentrate on your local.
Mhm.
You pull your car out of the driveway, hits a pothole. You gonna go to State Farm or Allstate based on a commercial, or you gonna go to the town that got to fix that pothole?
Mhm.
Get localized on the real deal. You got a child, you 19 years old. Healthcare, childcare, all these things mean something. These are things you can address. You're local, but you know this is a lifetime of teaching, and not this burst of now you got to be grown. So when you have true education, information, justice for all, being able to see what you're living in, then you have the pillars of a society that starts to figure it out. And you got to give it a little time, but it also has to work involuntarily too, because the biggest difference, Vlad, between 1980s and 2020, what do you think the biggest difference is? Lifetimes. People have been born and people have died. The
Mhm.
same cluster of humanity that was there in the 80s probably is no longer here in the 2020s.
Hmm.
And you have people born. If you're born in 2000, you're 20 years old now. You're
Yeah.
in the adult mix. You're born in 1990, you're 30 years old. You
Yeah.
are in the adult mix.
Yeah.
People my age, math is real. The reason why math is real, you can say, "Oh yeah, man, you're looking good." You know, like if you feel good, if you feel good, you are good. And if you look good, you feel good. Math is math, bro.
Yeah.
The Earth, and I'm not talking about flat Earth, whatever that is. We'll leave that to that belief, whatever. Because when people challenge me, I said, "Bro, I believe you and I don't believe you. I believe everything and nothing at the same time, Vlad. So you can have that, whatever. Cool, if it works for you. But when it comes down to it, it's like where we're at right now is that younger adults have to be given the confidence to say, you guys, this is your world. I believe that, 60 years old, you're in your final quarter. And break it down and I have a song on Loud Is Not Enough with Jaheed called Man Listen, which breaks life down into 4 football or basketball quarters. 0 to 20, your first quarter,
Mhm.
right? Establish the tempo, figure it out, know the game that you're playing. know your opposition, figured it all out. Your second quarter, you start to, exhibit the control of your game. You understand the defense. You work your way to keep the game at bay and understood to halftime. Halftime is where you really you got to figure out, man, whether you're in the game or not, because you can lose after halftime. That's 40 and over.
Yeah.
40 and over, that third quarter, if you follow basketball, that third quarter is the make or break quarter where you can lose in the third quarter. You lose it. The fourth quarter is irrelevant. And in the fourth quarter of life, 60 to 80, not a lot of people get there.
No, the game's over for some people.
Game is over for some people, if they even get there.
And you're almost 60. You're going to be 60 this year.
I'll be 60 in a month.
So,
you got to know where you're at. And anything after 80, they call it overtime.
Overtime.
And in football, they call it sudden death. Math is real, Vlad. You know why? Regardless of whatever you think, gravity and physics is real and ain't got nothing to do with flat earth. If we're going to go into science that we know, the earth rotates around the sun in how many days?
365.
The world spins on its axis, so-called axis, right? How often? 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Gravity is real, bro, on this planet.
Oh, yeah. I remember when
So it's always working.
Yeah,
so you got to figure out always how to, not in a way like, it's a bad word, attack, but be aggressive at living life to ward off things that's coming at you. Everything sanitary can be consumed by some other living situation trying to consume it for its life. If you leave a house bare out in wherever it's at and don't go there for 6 months, you best to believe every living organism surrounding that house is looking to get in that house to consume its living space. Same thing with a body, same thing with existence. So you have to kind of, aggressively live life, protect yourself. As an artist, number one thing we have to look at. Now, life ain't guaranteed. Number one thing we have to look at, I always looked at, your immune system, especially when you travel in time zones. Because your 6 becomes 9, your 9 becomes 6. If you eat something at 6 and it's really 9, you should, all that gets flipped. And then you're dealing with up in the air and down in the air and down on the ground. And you're dealing with that. Your number one thing you got to look out for is immune system. So, and that doesn't even guarantee you're going to be clear sailing. It means that, okay, we kind of won this battle today,
Yeah.
And I knew for a fact, even in the 90s when the lifestyle was sold into the popping bottles and the Hennessy's and this and that, and some of the rock star, rap star habits were being endorsed to be sold as everyday habits. I mean, you could do Hennessy on a video, you only did it once. The video shows over and over again. People say, well, they're hitting it every day. I'm like,
yeah, and Public Enemy has always been anti-alcohol.
95% of it.
Right. Well, to the point where at one point St. Ides sampled you in a commercial.
Yeah, that was a personal thing with me.
They sampled Public Enemy in a radio commercial.
Yeah.
And you sued them.
They sampled my voice.
They sampled your voice.
That was the problem.
To push malt liquor.
Yeah.
Which I guess at the time
it was stupid. It's a company that was growing and big, whatever.
And they had other rappers like Ice Cube, Wu-Tang Clan was doing commercials.
I just did a campaign against malt liquor.
Right. Because at the time, made no damn sense. At the time, I think like 75% of malt liquor was consumed by the Black community, and it had twice the alcohol of regular beer, so it was destructive. And I remember that time. I remember hanging out with my friends in Oakland drinking Crazy Horse.
Did you know what was in it?
Not really. I just knew that it got me drunk.
Now, what kind of car did you have?
Like a little Acura Integra, something
like
that.
Would you put the malt liquor in the car, or would you put whack gas if you knew it had water into your car? So cats were treating their cars better than their bodies.
Yeah.
But then that's just, you know what that is, Vlad? That's piss and vinegar. That's youthful spirit. Nothing can happen to me. I'm invincible. That's, there's a difference between somebody who's 19 and drunk and somebody who's 51 and drunk.
Right.
That's a drunk. The 19 is drunk. The 51-year-old is a drunk possibly. So, we just try to put the balance out there because at the end of the day, Vlad, people got their own lives. You're the owner to your own life. And that's what Public Enemy encouraged. We didn't say, oh, stop doing this, stop doing that. No one has that authority. We say, look, this is wise for you to understand that somebody's trying to make you be a consumer of something, and so understand what you're consuming. Because at the end of the day, you're gonna have to your own judgment is gonna be your own judgment. Whoever that might go to or be or whatever, you'll figure it out. And that's what the independence of thought is what Public Enemy is about. It's really comes out of the whole thing. Isaac Hayes, Do Your Thing, Sly and the Family Stone. They had records like, different strokes for different folks. It's like those messages in the music still made the joints funky and you got it and you felt good about it.